Hello everyone, dobrodošli vsi skupaj. Pozdravljena Maša, hello Anthony.
Hi, Mario.
Hello.
Hi,
Hi.
Masha. How are you?
Amazing. How are
Si
you?
in the
Good, good.
symphony.
I'm awesome. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you are awesome. You are awesome. And we're very grateful to have you here.
In
Thank you.
Slovenia, Dr. Anthony
Woohoo!
Mattis.
Yeah, just
Beautiful
before
country.
oh, sorry.
Sorry, no, beautiful country. I can't wait to come.
Yay. So just before we jump into our topic for today, I will just quickly announce a little bit of information in Slovenian, and then we can move on.
Sounds good.
Torej, dobrodošli vsi skupaj, ki nas spremljate zdaj na tem Facebook liveu. Z vami smo Maša, Marja in Anthony. In v tem trenutku imamo v slovenščini, ne bo slovenskega prevoda v živo, bo prevod naknadno. Mi se bomo sicer pogovarjali ves čas v angleščini, tako da takoj, ko bo konec Facebook live-a, bo na voljo tudi prevod, tako da si boste lahko pogledali posnetek v slovenščini. In zdaj naprej bomo govorili v angleščini. Hvala. So, okay. What are we talking about today, Dr. Anthony?
Well, you fire away. Interview me. What do you want to know, and what would the people like to know? We're going to talk about the symphony universe. Really, Dr. Dane here is coming, and I'll be coming, and Katerina Wallington to the Symphony of Possibilities class in Ljubljana in April, right? It's a 3-day class for people who want to become symphony practitioners. And then there will also be a symphony immersion class the day after. And then there'll also be an opening of the symphony class, like the week before or something like that, or a few days before?
No, one day before the 3-day class. So on the 22nd of April, we have the opening of the symphony as well.
So perfect. So you have 5 days of really immersing yourself into this whole symphony universe. So how does it get better than that? So just to give people some perspective is, so the opening of the symphony, I think the only prerequisite for that class is a foundation class, yeah?
Yep.
Yeah. And then, and then you have the SOP class, of course, and that has more prerequisites, but it's 3 days of really learning how to be a symphony practitioner, where you're working on a person, not just their body, but their being in a very energetic way. Sometimes you may be touching the body in different ways lightly. And a lot of times it's really working off the body into the subtle bodies, the different energy bodies that exist. And yeah, and that's just 3 days of immersing ourselves into that, but also doing a lot of verbal facilitation too, and clearing out all the unconsciousness and anti-consciousness that are coming up for people, all the stuff that's going on in the world today, and what tools can we use to go beyond it, and how can we use this particular practice in a way to create, greater possibilities for someone's life and our planet, really. And then the next day is like sort of like a follow-up for anybody who just wants to keep going. And it's a 1-day immersion class where I'll be sort of guiding practitioners, both the person gifting the session and the person receiving, on a lot of the different energetic nuances that can show up and do show up within a session. And so it's just like an exploration of what else is possible during a session. How do you handle certain scenarios that come up during a session? What's coming up for the person gifting during the session? How do we handle and address those things? What's coming up for the person laying on the table receiving this energy work, and all the different things that may come up for them? So it's an opportunity for practitioners to really ask whatever questions they want about sessions, both from a person gifting's perspective and also as a receiver of this work. So, yeah.
And I can really wait for this class, because when I gift the symphony, I sometimes wonder how to receive while I'm gifting. So can you maybe talk a little bit about that on this slide?
Well, yeah, like for me, even when you're, because a lot of times what newer folks will tend to do is like, am I doing it right? Am I doing it right? Am I doing it right? So they're in their head a lot. And so one of the things we do is we look at, let's clear out the mind chatter. So learning different tools to create space between the mind chatter. It doesn't mean your thoughts going to be totally clear and your whole skull is going to be completely empty. You're not going to have any thoughts, feelings, or emotions. Of course you are. I mean, we're human beings, right? And we're super aware. We're aware of a lot of different energies, and you may be totally aware of the person you're actually gifting a session to. So you may be picking up on what they're thinking while thinking it's yours. So we learn different things that we can do to actually create space and get really present with the session. If you find yourself maybe checking out or thinking about something else or worrying about if you're doing it right. But here's the gift in all of it. It's not about doing it right. This whole process is a being activity. And I know a lot of people are like, well, what the heck does being mean? And it really is one of those tools and processes where just you as you are, warts and all your imperfections, but also in all your greatnesses that maybe you haven't even acknowledged, that is the contribution to the session. You showing up with the energy of, hi, I'm here, and the universe has your back, and be willing to go on that journey. That is the difference maker. That is the contribution. Now, how to expand upon that, how to sort of go on this really fun and dynamic, energetic adventure, those are some of the things that will be explained in these classes that we'll be having, really all of them. And a lot of it, I would say almost all of it, is from the last 14 years of me doing sessions around the world, but also working on Gary Douglas, the founder of Access Consciousness, and Dr. Dane here, who introduced this whole universe to all of us so we can actually play with these tools, utilize these tools, and gift these tools to the world and to ourselves.
Wow. Wow. Just I want to touch on two different things. There's so many things that could be like extrapolated from this, but two things that popped up was when you said it's a being, and
Yeah.
we can experience this just by us talking, just by us being here. Just when you started talking about the symphony and the classes, that space and that became available to everyone here. So that's something also I would like to emphasize for people to be maybe aware of. Um, and the second, maybe if you can talk more about that. And the second thing was also uh, you also do the afternoon sessions at the 3-day training of the Symphony of Possibilities with Dr. Dane here. You lead the afternoon sessions, and you actually have a totally different approach to leading these and explaining different nuances that are, for me personally, are very practical and very pragmatic, for me to, like, for example, when I was in a Symphony of Possibilities class and I was doing sessions, and I might have not really was not really knowing what I was doing, and then when I asked you to come and help me out, you with your asking of how you asked questions and what you beat with me, and what ease you invited me into with regards to the session, that's something I am really grateful for. And I totally got on a different level what being a practitioner is. And also, on the other hand, the receiving part,
Yeah.
because that's also something that we forget. Like we we tend to just be in the, oh yeah, I'm the gift, like the gifting thing. We need to work on that, but we mostly forget about receiving, like
Yeah,
what is receiving.
totally. I mean, it all goes together. And going back to also Masha's question earlier too, so what ultimately happens is, especially, uh, it goes both ways. In some beautiful, magical way, when you're gifting these sessions, even if you don't know what you're doing, you are receiving. Okay. And you may only acknowledge that you're receiving this much at first, but as you get going and as you start to explore these things, as you're willing to take that energetic risk and go on that adventure, poof, all of a sudden, as the person gifting, you may be receiving more than the person on the table. And it's like, wow, this is great. I mean, you still have to like be in facilitator mode, but yeah, and it's really beautiful. But what also on the flip side, when someone's receiving a session, sometimes the receiver will receive more than what the person gifting is willing to actually be in a session, which that is really cool. So we talk about these different things, but there's just happens to be this wonderful gifting and receiving that occurs simultaneously with this particular work. I can't explain it. It also happens with access bars. It also happens with the body process that we do. And for someone who's been in the healing profession for now over 30 years, who I've studied a gazillion different techniques, and the ones that I had studied up until access, it was all about me gifting, me gifting, me gifting. There wasn't really this sort of energetic dance going on. And then fast forward using these tools and access, it's like, oh my God, I got so much out of that. My whole world just changed. And so it just becomes this beautiful, energetic gifting and receiving simultaneously. And thank you for the acknowledgement. It's like, again, I've had the privilege to have those one-on-ones with Dr. Dane here and Gary Douglas. And we would talk a lot through the sessions as I'm gifting to them. And they would literally show me an energetic thread that I can go and explore. And that has occurred over almost 14 years. So it's like between that and then going out there, taking that information and then having my own experiences with the people that I've been working on and with, and then even as a person receiving, yeah, this is something that I would like to just pay forward, because look, there's so many things that are discussed in an SOP class. There's so many different things we're trying to break through and go around and not be at the effect of. I mean, it's a very intense 3 days, and Dane does such a marvelous job of handling like issues of the day, and you know, and it's miraculous the different spaces he gets us all to, right? Sometimes we're walking out there like, what was that? Well, you just got stretched in more ways than you could even fathom. But how does it get better than that? And it's like, this is now you have the space to really start creating your life, because there's nothing solid for you to hold on to anymore, which is actually a gift, or at least as far as your traumas and dramas. And so, yeah, so what Katarina and I are all trying to also introduce is, because she's also worked side by side with Dane for, I don't know, maybe almost 20 years, so she understands and knows how to translate a lot of the different things. Like Dane would always say, he translates Gary so people can understand Gary better. It's like Katarina and I translate Dane so people can understand what Dane's trying to say through the ESB and SOP tools, And so, but it's just the way we're explaining it in our own way based on what they've downloaded into our universes, And that's what we want to share really with the world. And it's not as complicated as people make it. And if you're willing to go on an energetic journey during the session, you will walk into spaces of energy that will be like, I didn't even know that was possible without drugs. Okay, let me go. Oh, I didn't know. The last time I felt like this, I was taking ayahuasca. Well, I didn't know I can have this like without, you know what I mean? It's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. And it's beautiful. And it's really hard to put a label on it. Like they're like, right? You can't define it. And so, yeah, so when I go around and contribute, when Katarina goes around and contributes, when Dane goes around and contributes, we are trying to, it, it's not because anybody's doing it wrong. Because I've seen with my eyes, energetically speaking, the brand new person contributing tsunamis of energetic change. They may not have a clue that that's what's going on because they're too busy in their heads. But it's like when I'm facilitating the class, I'm like, oh my God, they're contributing this much and they have no clue. Wow. Eventually you will. I didn't have a clue. I still don't have a clue in a lot of ways, right? But what I can tell you though is if you're willing to go on those different energetic adventures, and I'll say a lot, explore and play and see what shows up. And then all the different energies that show up then becomes part of your energetic library forever that you can actually build upon. So that's what I try to tell people when I come up to them during a session. We're not coming up to you saying, you're not doing it right. You must try this method. No, because it's your being. I just try to give you different things like energetic threads that Gary and Dane had given me over the years to explore and see what happens and where it goes. And it's your willingness. It was your willingness, because you could be like, nah, I'm doing it my way, you know? And it's like, there is no way. Like you need, as a practitioner, you need to be willing to be always, all energies without a point of view.
Yeah.
And you are willing to receive it.
Yeah. And you actually did like that. Actually, what you were talking about now, that actually happened on the thing that I was talking about with regards to asking you. What actually happened was you acknowledged me and what I actually was being and doing, because I thought I went into wrongness and I thought I went into my head and I thought I was doing something wrong because it did not show up the way I thought it should. And that is also part of the gift of you. You just gave me a question and you showed me something energetically.
Yeah.
That was an acknowledgement.
Yeah. But the key to all of that though, I mean, it goes both ways, your willingness to receive it. Yeah. You know, you took that energetic thread and you went with it. And then that experience became part of you now. Now you know that. It has become part of your knowing, which now you can build upon that, which is great because nothing can take that away from you ever, which is also what's cool about this stuff, is because everything compounds in an amazing way, compounds and exponentializes your capacities.
Wow. And also with the receiving part, that's also the beauty of when you are willing and when you are allowing to receive more, you become a better practitioner as well. Like when you
Totally.
give, you're being greater for that.
Yep. Absolutely. I mean, you know, I've had a lot of sessions with Dane. I've had a lot of sessions with people who don't even know what they're doing. And I always ask, what are the infinite possibilities for this session, this person, and me? I'll say it with someone who just started or what I'm working on, you know, Dane or whoever. And I'm always receiving something, always, because I'm willing to receive that person's unique energies, even if they're not aware of them. Why? Because it'll contribute to me in one way or another. And I'll learn stuff. I'm willing to learn energetically, not from people's mouths all the time, because sometimes they use words to stop the energy. But I'm willing to learn from their being, which contributes to my body. I'm kind of like an energetic receiving slut. How about that?
So like for me, the symphony is something that every day I learn something new, something more. So is it that the symphony immersion class, it's not just for like newbies of the symphony, like also like advanced practitioners, like everyone that is a
Totally.
symphony practitioner can come, right?
Yeah, I mean, well, I've had one class so far because it's a brand new class, and it was all maestros, which is
Wow.
like SOP
Advanced.
advanced. Yeah, you know, and it's an adorable name, I think. It's, or not adorable, maybe it's not the right word. It's cute, adorable, but it's profound too, because in the whole word symphony, it really is getting you to recognize that you as an instrument, you as a vibration, you as a frequency, just like the instruments in an orchestra, each one is the contribution to the whole, you know, and in what we are creating with these energies is truly a symphony, right? And so I love how Dane refers to, like, you know, the most advanced class in this work, you know, maestro, you know, and it's not because we run around and call ourselves maestro. We don't do that publicly, right? We just, that's just sort of like, a little cool thing, like, hey, let's go to the maestro class. But but yeah, so I already forgot what you said, Masha. You said something so it was say what you said.
I
Oh
said
yeah,
that everyone
that's right.
can
My first
come.
class was all maestros. It was all maestros. And I didn't even realize that until the end of the day. You know why? Because none of the maestros showed up like this. I know better. Or I'm here to see what this is. No, everyone was there as if they were newbies. Like they were there with this childlike wonder, and we're like, show me what you know. Show me what you've experienced, because I would like to learn even more. And what I received personally was such a gift. And I'm not even talking about the acknowledgments and the feedback or anything like that. What I received energetically changed my life and opened me up to new energetic doorways that I was able to walk through because of the maestros showing up with this nothing but the space of curiosity and the willingness to go and explore all these different energetic threads that are available. And at the end, I'm like, oh my God, every single one of you here are maestros. So yeah, it could be newbies, it could be, you know, the most advanced symphony practitioners, and yeah, and it's just me sharing what I've learned over all these years that the guys have also shared with me too, which has been such a gift.
Oh. And it's also a possibility for us to hone our skills and
That
yeah, and immerse ourselves.
that
And yeah, and also when we bring our questions from sessions to the table, that expands everyone's
yeah.
world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because look, all sorts of things are going to happen that maybe didn't happen when you're in a regular SOP class. And I'm not saying they'll happen in the immersion class or the opening of the symphony class either. They may not show up. But what I like to do is address certain scenarios that could show up when you start doing this outside of an SOP class. Like, you know, how do you handle somebody who might be flopping around the table? You know, is it bad if someone decides to go to sleep and they're snoring? And, you know, does that mean it's not working? Or, you know, what do you do if the person's laying on their table with their eyes like this, like they're freaked out? You know what I mean? Like, so we explored different scenarios that could show up when you go and start to have this as a practice, like you're inviting clients to come to your wellness center or wherever you choose to do sessions. And what do you do in those scenarios? How do you handle it? How do you start the session? How do you end a session? Especially if they're like, you know, like, oh my, almost disconnected. And then like, then how do you evaluate the flopping around? Is it always good when they're flopping around? Or is it bad if they're flopping around? Or maybe you just have to follow the energy and see, because sometimes people are flopping around, but they're not really being present with the movement of their body, right? So how do you handle that? And then you have people that are not flopping around and they're not present with the body. How do you notice that? So it's all those kinds of things. I'm like, whoa, okay, maybe I need to talk to them and tap them on the shoulder and we have a conversation. I ask them questions. So like maybe if they are checked out and they're way out here, what can we do to bring them back where they're actually allowing themselves to be present with all the energies without checking out?
Mm.
So it's so much.
Yeah, it's
I
like,
get excited about this, as you can see. Sorry to cut you off.
no,
My
it's
bad. I'm like
I'm
a little
excited
kid, but you know,
also.
I'm
we're
like,
all excited.
I can't wait for the class. I have a lot of questions. So yeah.
Yeah, me too. Like it's like fine tuning, you know, like it just like what like I'm even like just now like I got a lot of ideas of like what we could like explore. So
yeah,
so yes, and there is a prerequisite for the immersion class. You have to be the participants have to have done the Symphony of Possibilities training with Dr. Dane here. Is it at any time or is there a
yeah.
limit?
I believe it's at any time, and but I strongly recommend that if you haven't been to a class in a long time, to come to the 3-day SOP class in Ljubljana because so much has changed. You know, consciousness is always changing; it's always moving, and you know, Gary and Dane are always getting new energetic downloads about different things that could be holding us back, and so to be in that class because the stuff that I'm going to be clearing that get in the way of sessions is going to be the most current stuff that we've been looking at, you know? And so it just helps to be sort of up to date energetically. But, you know, if you're not able to, it's not a must. You just have to have had SOP at some point. But yeah, I strongly recommend you get to the 3-day Symphony class, Symphony of Possibilities class, because just so much is changing so fast. I mean, look at the state of the affairs in our world right now. If there's any time that we require consciousness to evolve faster than all the techie stuff, the AI, it's now. We need to wake up as a human race collectively and stop fighting with each other and warring with each other. And because if we don't, we're not even going to have an earth anymore. And that is not an airy fairy statement. I mean, that's a reality. And the fact that we're still warring in 2026, come on, really?
Yeah.
Really? Are we that unevolved?
Well, what can we change with all these classes?
That's what I'm saying. So let's come and play together and let's create change, not only for yourself personally, but for our beautiful earth. And I don't know, maybe it'll wake up a few more people around the world too, indirectly. What would that take?
What would
Yeah.
it take? Thank you.
So the 27th of April in Ljubljana, Slovenia, Dr. Anthony Mattis is having the Symphony immersion class. Come, join us.
Yay.
Come, be a symphony slut.
Awesome. Thank you, ladies. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you, Anthony. Thank you, Maria.
Anthony. And if you have any questions about this class, you can reach out to Masha. She's the host for this amazing class, or you can also reach out to me or to Anthony, and we will take care of you.
Beautiful. Thanks,
Yeah.
ladies. Bye.
Bye.